Investor Relations of the company. Please go ahead, Rui.
And welcome back, everybody, to another live stream.
Good evening, everyone.
I think in the background you're hearing the start of the management call that we will be listening to together here. Thanks for joining. As a reminder, this is a live stream. I've done one more live stream earlier this morning going through the NIO earnings report. You can watch it as a recording in case you haven't yet. Greetings to everybody who's just waking up at the West Coast in the US. And welcome to everybody else. Let's start and get this up and going here with some people possibly joining us later. As a reminder again, this will be, of course, also be available as another recording.
Forward-looking statements involve
In the background, you hear the normal management speak, reading about the legal terms and stuff like that. The beginning of the calls are usually a bit boring. I hope we rather get some interesting questions by the analysts towards the end of the call. Just as a little housekeeping comment here, though, I can't make this call too expansive today, too long, because I have another appointment later on, which I need to catch. Still should be fine. Usually the call is around 1 hour, including the Q&A for the analysts. But again, I hope they will be grilling them on the results. As I mentioned in my other video, it's actually been a mixed earnings, I would say.
To comparable GAAP measures.
It's been a beat on the revenues, but just a slight beat and a miss on the bottom line.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining NIO.
And now we hear Li Bin speaking.
2023 Q4 and the full-year earnings call. In Q4 of 2023, NIO delivered a total of 50,045 premium smart EVs, up 25%.
Was Li Bin speaking English before in the management calls? I can't remember that.
NIO's cumulative delivery reached 160,000.
Let me know if you hear the earnings call properly when I ramp up the volume. I have to do this a little bit manually here, how the streaming software works. So I hope everything works out on the technical side, the mic, with the camera, with the sound.
Chinese New Year. NIO delivered 18,187 vehicles. On March 7th, NIO will start to deliver the 2024 models, featuring enhanced performance and experience. With that, NIO sales will gradually bounce back, and the total delivery in Q1 is expected to be between 31,000 to 33,000 units. In terms of NIO's financial performance, with continuous improvements on the BOM cost, the vehicle gross margin increased to 11.9% in Q4. Now, I would like to share with you the recent highlights of our products, R&D, and operations. On December 23rd, NIO Day 2023 was held in Xi'an, Shanxi Province, where the smart electric executive flagship NIO ET9 was unveiled. ET9 embodies NIO's full-stack capabilities and the global leading technology, featuring core technologies such as in-house developed AD chip NX9031, all-domain 900-volt architecture, Skyride chassis system, and the flagship safety and security. ET9 defines the technology standard for the next generation premium smart EV. The delivery will start in Q1 2025. In the meantime, NIO will soon start to deliver its 2024 models with the configuration and the performance upgrades, including the brand new center computing cluster, Adam, which brings the computing power to a new level. Enabled by the industry's highest computing power, NIO's software release has become faster, making our products more competitive. With respect to NIO assisted and intelligent driving or NAD, NIO's collective intelligence capability has seen rapid growth, with the total validated urban mileage increasing 100-fold in 5 months. As of the end of January, Navigate on Pilot Plus were validated and made available more than 1 million kilometers of roads in China, including 650,000 kilometers of complicated urban driving scenarios in 606 cities. In Q2, the NOP Plus for urban roads is expected to be released to all NT2 users, which will make this OTA update the largest public release of its kind in China. Through computing sharing across different domains on the central computing cluster, NOMI-GPT, or multimodal large vision model, will be released soon, making the cockpit smarter and more secure. In addition, NIO's mass market brand will make its debut in Q2. The first product will be launched in Q3, with mass delivery to start in Q4. As for the sales and the service network, so far, NIO has 148 NIO houses and 352 NIO spaces, as well as 314 service centers and 62 delivery centers. About the charging and the swapping network, to date, NIO has 2,419 power swap stations worldwide, providing over 39.5 million swaps cumulatively. It also has installed over 10,000 power chargers and 11,600 destination chargers. During the Chinese New Year, on the busiest day, NIO completed 19,199 swaps. One of the stations on highway provides 195 swaps. Battery swap has become the most reliable solution for NIO users. Following the battery swap cooperation with Chang'an and Geely, another 2 strategic cooperation agreement was signed with JAC and Chery in January. NIO will roll out comprehensive and in-depth cooperation on battery swap with these partners. Moreover, NIO has partnered with multiple energy companies, such as Anhui Energy Group and the China Southern Power Grid, to jointly build swap stations. The value of battery swap has been appreciated by more people, making a holistic, chargeable, swappable, and upgradable solution a well-recognized core advantage of NIO. In 2024, NIO plans to build 1,000 new battery swap stations and 20,000 chargers, bringing the total to over 3,310 swap stations and 41,000 chargers by the end of 2024. Regarding the capital market, in December, NIO received $2.2 billion strategic investment from Abu Dhabi investor Seven Holdings. The investment has further strengthened NIO's balance sheet, laying a solid foundation for NIO's investment into the next generation core technologies and products. Shouldering the corporate social responsibility and supporting global sustainable development, NIO always stay true to its foundation vision of blue sky economy. In general, NIO was selected by Corporate Knights into the 2024 Global 100 Most Sustainable Companies, making to the list for the second time in a row. NIO was placed 15th among more than 6,000 companies worldwide, up 29 spots from last year. As competition intensified in 2024, we see both challenges and opportunities, with faster deployment of charging and swapping facilities, and the change in consumer behavior, the premium BEV segment to which NIO brand belongs will soon arrive at an inflection point of growth. In the second half, a new brand for the mass market will also become our growth level. In 2024, we will continue to focus on the corporate top priority, level up system capabilities, strengthen cost mindset and the cost management, so as to bring our A game to the next phase of competition. As always, thank you for your support. With that, I will now turn the call over to Stephen for financial details. Over to you, Stephen.
Thank you, William. I will now go over our key financial results for the fourth quarter of 2023. And to be mindful of the length of this call, I will reference to RMB only in my discussion today. I encourage listeners to refer to our earnings press release, which is posted online for additional details. Let me start with revenue. For the fourth quarter of 2023, total revenues reached 17.1 billion RMB, up 6.5% year-over-year and down 10.3% quarter-over-quarter. 90% of revenue comes from vehicle sales in Q4, which was 15.4 billion RMB, representing an increase of 4.6% year-over-year and a decrease of 11.3% quarter-over-quarter. The improvement year-over-year was driven by growing delivery volume, despite the impact of lower average selling price resulted from product mix changes. The decrease quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributed to a decrease of 9.3% in delivered volume. Moving to other sales reached 1.7 billion RMB, growing 27.6% year-over-year and 0.4% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to increased sales in accessories and the provision of power solutions, which both grew with our user base. Then let's have a look at the gross margin. Overall gross margin was 7.5%, compared with 3.9% in the same period of last year and 8.0% in the last quarter. The increase year-over-year was mainly attributed to the increased vehicle margin. The slight decrease quarter-over-quarter was due to the decrease in margin from provision of power solutions as a result of expanded power network, even though vehicle margin was growing. A closer look at vehicle margin, which was up to 11.9% in this quarter, compared with 6.8% in Q4 2022 and 11.0% in Q3 2023. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to the decreased material cost per unit in Q4 2023 and lower base in Q4 2022, which resulted from the inventory provisions, accelerated depreciation on production facilities, and the losses on purchase commitments for the previous generation of ES8, ES6, and EC6 recorded. Then let me move on to the operating expenses. R&D expenses were 4.0 billion RMB, remained stable year-over-year, and increased 30.7% quarter-over-quarter. The increase was mainly driven by incremental design and development costs for new products and technologies, and higher personnel costs in R&D functions. SG&A expenses were 4.0 billion RMB, increased 12.6% year-over-year and 10.1% quarter-over-quarter, which was mainly related to higher personnel costs in sales functions and increased sales and marketing activities. Let's move further to the bottom line. Loss for operations was 6.6 billion RMB, representing a decrease of 1.6% year-over-year and an increase of 36.8% quarter-over-quarter. Interest and investment income was 1.4 billion RMB, increased 288.7% year-over-year and 375% quarter-over-quarter. The increase was primarily attributed to the recycling of unrealized gain from other comprehensive income to investment income of 977.3 million RMB for the available for sale debt related to an upstream industry investment. Net loss was 5.4 billion RMB, representing a decrease of 7.2% year-over-year, an increase of 17.8% quarter-over-quarter. Last but not least, our balance sheet gets strengthened with 57.3 billion RMB in cash and cash equivalents, restricted cash, short-term investment, and long-term time deposits as of December 31st, 2023. For more information details of our unaudited 2023 full year financial results, please refer to our earnings press release. Now, this concludes our prepared remarks. I will now turn the call over to the operator to facilitate our Q&A session.
Thank you.
Okay, normally I have plenty of time to speak in between when we are speaking Chinese, but so far everything's self-explaining in English. Wow, a welcome change here, in my opinion, maybe dedicated to some of the international and especially US investors here. I like it. Let's see. I doubt they will continue doing that during the Q&A because I think I might be more fluent in Chinese still. Let's see. Definitely shows that they are making some changes in the background here.
I have two questions. The first one is about our upcoming the mass market brilliance apps. So is NIO still targeting to launch and deliver the first model on the apps in late the quarter? And separately, as it's just less than 2 quarters away, could you share more information about the channel strategy, target numbers of stores, store types, and the scale of charging network, etc.? So any additional colors about apps would be highly appreciated. So that's my first question.
Thank you, Tim. 我们目前的计划就是讲到了我们在 Q2 会发布这个 Apples， 就是我们的 Mass Market 的这个 brand 的这个 brand 啊，然后在3季度的话呢，我们会这个开始发布第一款产品，然后4季度开始大批量交付。事实上，我们的这个第一款车在去年的 Q4 就已经这个 VB 车就是4支车就已经下。
All right, as expected, Libin is answering in Chinese, so let me just take that one here on the efficiency improvements. I think we'll see them during this year. It takes some time until they trigger in. For example, if you release stuff, if you make them redundant, you have to pay securities packages, and yeah, no, that's also putting some pressure on costs in the short term. But I think ultimately they will show those decreasing net income costs or numbers, right? It didn't happen this quarter, but it's very likely in Q1, in my opinion. I think we have to think in possibilities here. It's more likely for the net income to become less negative now going forward than the opposite.
To unveil our second brand, the brand for the mass market. And in the third quarter, we will launch the very first product of this new brand, and the mass release and the delivery will be starting from the fourth quarter of this year. Actually, the verification build, the baby build of this car already rolled off the line in Q4 last year, and we were pretty satisfied with the conditions of that build. In terms of the sales and the service network of this new brand, for the point of sales, it will have its separated and independent sales network. But in terms of the after sales services and the touch points, we can leverage the existing service resources of the new brand. In terms of the power swap network, we've previously mentioned that for the PowerSwap network, we have a private network and a public network, similar to the cloud infrastructure and cloud service. For the private network, basically it's the PowerSwap stations and the facilities that's designated and exclusive to the NIO brand. But in addition to that, we have a public network where we will share the power swapping resources with not only Alps, our second brand, as well as other car companies. As you've also know that we've already signed the agreements with several car companies, and more will join the public service facility as well.
对，四代站，我们的第四代换电站就是可以这个兼容这些不同的品牌，那么兼容 NIO 和这个 Alps 都会兼容。那么我们在今年的4月份就开始布局，我们今年的1000座站大部分都会是共享网络的。
Our fourth generation power swap station will have the compatibility for both NIO products as well as Alps products. And we will start to build the fourth generation swap stations from April this year. Previously, we've mentioned that in 2024, we are going to install another 1,000 swap stations, and most of the stations will be fourth generation stations for the public network.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thank you really for sharing all the details. So my second question is about the margin target. Because I recall that back to the quarter results, I think the management team mentioned that the vehicle gross profit margin for 2024, this year, would be around 15 to 18%. And there could be additional like a 0.5% margin uptick contributed by in-house production. So based on current market environment and competitive landscape, do you still maintain the same target this year, or look for any potential changes to the margin target? That's my second question. Thank you.
Hi, Tim. About the margin, yes, for the whole year, I think we keep this 15% to 18% target. But quarter by quarter, I think there will be some change. As you may know, we will upgrade all our NT2 product to 2024 version in March. And during the transition of old and new products, more promotions are offered for the old models, leading to the decrease of gross profit margin in Q1. But starting from Q2, along with the volume ramp up of our 2024 version, and also the further cost optimization activities, as you mentioned, we believe our vehicle margin can come back to an upward trend. And so starting from Q2, we are confident that 15 to 18% vehicle margin can be achieved for NIO brand. And from a long run, our margin target for NIO brand will also be over 20%. Thank you, Tim.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Bin Wang from Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My first question is about the 2024 volume target. Some media report you target 200,000 units for the full year 24, which means 25% growth. Can you confirm whether this is your target? That's number one question. Number two is about the second product from the NIO brand, mass market brand. In a recent interview, Winnie actually mentioned they made a full-size SUV bigger than the first one, where the second product followed by MPV. Can I confirm this is your plan for the NIO brand in the next second and third products? Thank you.
谢谢王斌。今年当然这个确实市场竞争会比较激烈。我们产品的话呢，从产品的角度来讲，我们的这个2024款这个升级以后，我们的从性能的角度来讲，特别是智能化的算力，我们相信一定还是。
Libian is talking in Chinese. So there seems to be some confusion around the sub-brands and the swap stations. It sounded to me like going forward in April, they start to do those multi-brand swap stations that will be for Alps, but also for multi-brands, so for the partnerships. I'm wondering if in the same moment they also stop building out too many new swap stations for the NIO brand itself, because that, of course, will be able to access the next generation multi-brand swap station on top, and it already has a dedicated NIO network, right, which will only be for the NIO users. Anyways, it has been advancing, so that the ratio between swap stations and NIO cars has actually come to a level where the car sales could pick up more and still would not cause a same ratio as it was a couple of quarters before. So maybe some opportunity here to look more to the multi-brand swap stations instead of the NIO brand only. Let's see if we get some more confirmation on that. So far, I think analyst questions are pretty vague and not so on point, to be honest. But let's see. We got some more time, some more minutes.
销售能力的一个价值，结合这些吧，还有包括我们的换电站，我们今年的换电站的部署，这个除了是可以做共享，阿尔卑斯和NIO都能用以外，我们今年换电站的部署能够会更加的去从销售的角度出发，这个从提高销量的角度出发，因为我们已经有2000多座站，我们的这个网络布局基本上已经形成了，所以结合这几点嘛，我们对今年的销量这个还是非常有信心的。那我们当然 Q1 的销量我们给了这个指引31000到33000，那我们相信3月份以后，这个随着天气变暖，这个市场的这个情况，我们相信还是会越来越好啊。那么今年我们还是有信心单月能回到2万台的这样的一个这个水平，当然我们希望能够尽快的到达这个水平。至于这个我们的第二品牌先翻译一下啊。
Thank you for the question. Definitely for this year, the competition is going to continue to be intense. But as we've also mentioned that we will be having our products for the 2024 models with enhanced performance, especially much better computing power. The computing power will continue to lead the global market. So this will help us to improve the overall competitiveness of our existing products. This year, we will focus on accelerating the
Unfortunately, the translator forgot to turn on the mic. So let me just quickly respond to Owen here, who is obviously upset around NIO investing a lot in R&D. While I had personal expectations that R&D cost wouldn't be as high this quarter as they actually came out, to be honest, I still think overall R&D isn't a bad thing to invest in, right? This is in an ideal scenario yielding cash flows later on. That's the idea. The thing is whether or not you can afford it. Oh no, she turned on the mic.
Our sales force, as the team is getting more matured and skillful with the sales and getting better understanding of our products, we also see this sales force start to kick in, especially in our delivery results for the February. Inside of the BEV segment or the new energy vehicle market, our delivery results in February was actually pretty good, especially in comparison to our results in January. This has also reflected the effectiveness and the efficiency of our sales force and also sales channel enlargement. And thirdly, we will also continue to deploy our power swapping network. As I've mentioned, we will deploy both public network and private networks for NIO and for Alps. And for our power swap network this year, we will mainly serve the purpose of boosting sales volume because we already have more than 2,000 swap stations. So we basically have established the initial network for the power swap services. And now we will focus more on boosting sales via installing these stations. So overall speaking, we are confident with our sales and the delivery results this year. As in our guidance, in the first quarter of this year, we are going to deliver around 31,000 to 33,000 units. In March, as weather gets better and the market gets more dynamic and vibrant, we are also confident that our sales volume will increase. For the midterm, we hope that our sales volume can still be back to around 20,000 units per month, and we hope that this can happen sooner.
关于我们的这个
All right. Unfortunately, this answer was cut off a little bit. We did not enable the mic, but let me get to comments here by Owen, who I appreciate your comment, Marcus, and I agree. There are obviously sometimes people here trying to, spread some FUD, some fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and their own opinion. I mean, we can talk about all of this. I don't agree with this take. I think NIO's investing in R&D will yield results. Actually, we already see results. As I mentioned before, if you follow me on Twitter and some of my videos, I've also spoken around new videos emerging where showing how NIO Pilot performs on city roads. It's actually quite impressive. Then, of course, there has been lots of other things that NIO has pulled out recently, and let's not underestimate that they are bringing out 2 sub-brands that have been R&D'd before, in addition to the ET9 next year, to the self-developed chip and so forth, to a record-breaking 1,000 kilometers battery that is on hybrid solid-state composition that others simply can't do due to the cost implications, but NIO, because of battery swapping, can do. Then the ongoing reiterations of the battery swapping technology, the phone. On the software side, I mentioned the improvements that I'm seeing as a NIO customer. I mean, we can't say that they're doing nothing for the R&D spend. I agree. I would have loved to see R&D costs already to phase out a little bit, and that we see a better improvements on the net income. We haven't seen that in this quarter, but I think we might see it going forward. So yeah, that was my answer to that.
Brand, some media has already captured some of our publicly tested vehicles on the roads, and also reported some sneak peeks of our very first product. For our second brand, as we've previously introduced, its overall positioning is to target at the family-oriented users, basically families of different sizes. Or for family of different sizes, we are going to launch different sizes of vehicles, but all with strong product competitiveness. As we started relatively late in the family-oriented segment, we can leverage such opportunities to better look into the real demands of the target users and launch competitive products accordingly. The first product of our mass market brand will have head-on competition with the most popular model of Tesla, that is Model Y, but our car will support battery swap. So in terms of the cost and performance, we believe that this model will be highly competitive. In terms of the BOM cost, it will be roughly 10% lower than that of Model Y, which also gives us better flexibility for the product pricing. And the second model of our mass market brand will be a SUV model for the large family. The R&D is in good progress. We have already kicked off the tooling for the second model, and this car will be launched in 2025. And the third model is also on the way. We have already started the product definition and R&D, but it's too early to share the information, and we will disclose more information when it's appropriate.
Thank you, Wang Bin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Yuqian Ding from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Thanks, team. Yuqian here. I got 2 questions. The first is, we want to understand what's management priority or strategy between pricing and volume. We noticed that the company acted quite refrained in pricing among universal price action from peers. Has that been, we have been seeing the ticket price rather stable. So does that read as more profitability as a priority over volume for this year, or it's a rope-a-dope tactic before our new mass market brand coming into the market? That's the first one.
Yeah. 谢谢雨倩。对这个，因为 NIO 从今年下半年开始，我们就同时销售2个品牌。但从战略的角度来讲 ，NIO 的 brand 的话，我们不会去出比 ET5 更。
I don't think we have clarity on this matter. It's a really technical question. I can only make assumptions. And I think I've uncovered on the channel before patterns that are showing interoperability and compatibility between different vehicle architectures, for example, 400 volt, 800 volt, as well as different battery packs. So it might be that these are different battery packs, to be honest, and still compatible.
这个市场竞争也肯定会更激烈。那我们的第二品牌能够
Libin is still talking in Chinese. Now we have more than 400 people watching live. Thanks everybody for tuning in. A quick reminder, this is a live stream listening to the earnings call management. I've done a different live stream before regarding going through the earnings report. Both of these videos are going to be available as a recording later on. So appreciate if you like and share it. And you can ask the questions if you're a long-term subscriber right now. I'm trying to even answer some of the FUD comments in here. I mean, sometimes we have some people who try to distress NIO investors here. So that's how it is. I think I just voice my opinion here on the channel. It's not for granted that this is the right opinion, but it is what I personally think about it. And you can use it as your own way of thinking about NIO as a company and the investment.
For the new brand, for this, for now, we will not sell any products that will be cheaper than the existing ET5. Even for the products in our pipeline, they will be targeting at the premium segment, which means that our products for the new brand will be more gross margin oriented. We will be carrying more on the gross profit of our products than the volume. So we will not cut the prices or enter the price war. We will not realize higher volume at the cost of our compromised margin or gross profit. And for the second brand, the brand for the mass market, it is targeted at the mass market and also for the family-oriented users, where the competition is also more intense. But luckily, it can leverage the existing electrification and smart technologies and infrastructures already developed by NIO. So it has certain advantages than starting a completely new brand from the ground up. For this second brand, we will be focusing more on the volume. So the volume is prioritized over the gross margin of the products. That's the overall strategy for these two brands. We believe that with this combined brand portfolio, it will also help us to realize a healthier long-term sustainable development and operations. Thank you.
Got it. And my second question is, the recent two sessions talked about supporting SOEs to move more aggressively on the EV without constraint on the profitability. So it looks like another pressure and making the industry harder and harder to consolidate. So thanks for the strong color on the new mass market brand and value proposition. I guess this is us changing the way of asking. Other than the strong product, are we aggressive enough on the pricing? You talked about the volume priority, but if the pressure is going to be overhang for longer, are we be ready for being aggressive on the pricing for longer?
当然我们在中国的话，我们当然会面临各种企业的竞争，我们会。
I think Libin already mentioned the answer to this question. They're not going to compromise on the premium to luxury brand, which is NIO, which I fully agree on. To be honest, it was kind of a shock to me when the price war started, and then we saw NIO also starting to make a switch in their pricing. In the end, they did it in a smart move, so I'm happy with that. Like cutting off the free battery swap benefits and thereby reducing the prices, but not actually decreasing the price tag of the cars. It was kind of a workaround, and in a sense, but still, it was kind of engaging in a price war. But I agree that the long-term outcome must be that they don't dilute the brand positioning that they have built up, and they have a dedicated brand to the premium to luxury market, which in my experience after driving the cars, there's even wrong assumptions here in Germany about how the cars should be priced. I don't think they should be cheaper than an Audi. I don't think they should cut costs just because they are a Chinese brand. Cut prices, I should say, not cut costs. But that's just my opinion. I think it's a very difficult task, especially during these times. But it seems that that's their strategy, and let's see if they can, fully do it. I think from now and then they have to do some workarounds, like now phasing out the 2.0 platform for the transition, including some discounts?
All types of car companies, including companies like Tesla, many startups from China, private companies, well-established ones in China, and also joint ventures and state-owned enterprises. Overall speaking, the China's automotive market is a highly open market, and such competition can actually benefit or bring benefits to the end users. However, it can be more difficult and challenging for car companies. But we believe that by the end of the day, those companies with good overall capabilities and competence, as well as those companies who care about the experience of the end users, will survive from the fierce competition. And we are confident that we will withstand such competition from all the competitors. But in the meantime, we also see cooperations out of the competition. For example, we have announced power swap cooperation with many car companies. China Automobile is the first car company to partner with NIO in power swap. Later, we also collaborated with Geely Holding, JEC Group, and Chery on the battery swap. We also have partnerships with energy companies like Sinopec and PetroChina for the construction of power swap stations, as well as with China Southern Power Grid on the energy storage as well as power swap stations. So in general, NIO is pretty good at partnering up with the peers in the industry. Since the competition is inevitable, we would like to look at how we can navigate through the intense competition from the reasonability of the business perspective.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Ming-Sun Lee from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, William and the Adrian team. So I also have two questions. So first question is regarding the overseas market. Do you expect NIO to enter the new countries this year? Will you cooperate with more local distributors in other overseas market, or you will maintain the direct sales business model? Also, do you have any overseas sales target for this year? Thank you. That's my first question.
好，谢谢明。从这个全球市场来讲，
I think in a previous earnings call, I already discussed that I'm not expecting too many sales in overseas markets yet. Let's see if there's an update on that. 4 analyst questions so far, I have to say. Let's see if they get more spicy towards the end. I do think NIO is currently reorganizing themselves. I do observe that in Europe. I mentioned a couple, especially on Patreon. I'm sometimes talking a little bit out of the box of my insights of becoming a NIO customer. By the way, you can support our channel and become a Patreon member, and then you'll get such exclusive insights. And yeah, I think they're reorganizing. That means maybe going a little bit slower currently in this current phase, but still opening up new markets. And maybe some changes in strategies. I mentioned before, for example, for Germany, that's really the problem right now, that they are selling without one of their value propositions, which are battery swap stations. So we face the problem of building them out. It would have been smarter to build them out first and then enter the market. Let's see how that might change now with also grid balancing becoming a topic and so on. And yeah, definitely could make lots of improvements to the go-to-market strategies. Also, just on a previous video, driving with the ES6 through Switzerland, in which I mentioned, Switzerland could be a great go-to-market in the first place, highly affluent, 3 languages, French, German, Italian, and then go from those markets into the other ones. Now it's too late. Now, for example, the German manager has moved on. I think he was possibly let go, made redundant. Lots of the people of the power grids build-out team have stopped working with NIO or also been made redundant. It's the European team with Markus Heiler taking over. Let's see. I think those changes were necessary, to be honest. There have been quite a few things that need still improvement today. Maybe in some future videos, I'll also talk on the public channel about some of my experiences with becoming a NIO owner here in Europe. overall, I do think they're trying as hard as they can as a startup. It's difficult, but certainly there can be things done better.
International markets. At the moment, we will still primarily focus on the Chinese market as it is the largest and also the most competitive market for the automotive industry. But in the meantime, we will not stop our exploration into the international market. So far, we have already entered 5 European countries, and we will keep refining our operations and management in these 5 European countries. And this year, we are also planning to enter into several new countries. For example, UAE, as we are invested by the Abu Dhabi's strategic investors. So we are also preparing for the market entry and the sales and the service in that market. For the other countries, we're more waiting and to see the development of the conditions, and strategic wise, we will also become more flexible because there are 2 major changes. The first change is that as we will soon have our mass market brand, and the next year we are going to announce our 3rd brand. The price will be below 200,000 RMB, which means that with all 3 brands combined, we will be able to cover larger markets with more segments. Because NIO as a brand primarily focus on the premium segments, basically China, US, and Europe. These 3 continents contribute 90% of the sales of the premium segment. But for our 2nd and 3rd brands, as they are more affordable, they will be standing a bigger chance of tapping into a more diversified markets and in more regions. So our global market entry will also take these 3 brands into consideration. And the second change is regarding our strategy entering into each market. At the moment in China and in 5 European countries, we adopt the direct selling model. And in China, we will continue to have the direct sales with direct touch points with users. But for the other markets outside of China, we need to respect the local conditions and also the special characteristics of each market. In that case, we will keep our strategy very flexible and very open. We will look at which way will be bringing us quicker return on investment. We don't exclude any possibilities of cooperating with local partners for the market entry. So in general, we will have a very flexible and a very open strategy towards markets outside of China.
Thank you, William. My second question is regarding the battery technology. So recently, some auto brands start to launch 5C 800 volt charging battery and the system. So when do we expect that the NIO brand and also probably your 2nd brand will start to provide this spec? And if after you have the fast charging battery, will you switch to expand more charging station instead of battery swap station in 2025? Thank you, William.
Yeah， 对，就是从电池的技术的角度来讲呢，我们当然这个从超充、提高充电的速度，还有快换，对吧？这一直是我们的一个这个一直的一个战略。所以我们在充。
Another rather, I don't know, very general question in my point of view. I'm not sure what these analysts are doing sometimes. In previous calls, we had some pretty straightforward questions, really some of the pressing issues, but this one doesn't seem to be of a concern. Like I said before, I've done videos about patents showing that NIO will have compatibility between 400 volt and 800 volt technology. If you look at what Shinfei, the VP Power of NIO, is saying on Weibo, it's very clear what he thinks about supercharging versus battery swapping, how they coexist, how they will coexist in the future, how 800 volt doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a fade out of battery swapping technology, because there are limitations, even if it's 800 volt or 900 volt or 1000 volt. You know, I can just shake my head sometimes, but let me just say so much. I've just, on the ES6, I just had a NIO in Germany here. I had the new 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, which was charging at 100 kilowatt at a supercharger at around 60% state of charge. So this is really top-notch charging, supercharging here. You don't always get that in reality. If there's just another car next to you, when you're charging, then the charging power will be cut in half. So NIOs already today can charge pretty quick. But of course, yes, now Li Auto is coming out with, for example, the Mega. I've told them videos before how they are facing struggle in building out the infrastructure that is necessary for fast charging like they are proposing here. And overall, I think people just don't see yet how NIO is becoming the #1 in infrastructure in China when it comes to EV charging. And that includes swapping, but also supercharging, because some of the fastest superchargers out there are NIO branded, and they're being used by some of their competitors because NIO simply has more stalls than others. Yeah, so some comments here was previously around NIO should just become an energy company. Well, it's true, but on the other hand, the energy business is in the emerging stages. For example, when it comes to grid balancing, these things are just starting up, right? It's an unfair advantage that NIO has because battery swap stations have this type of dual use. So they not only can be used for the EV fleet, they also separate the battery from the car, which is preferential from a consumer perspective when it comes to providing energy to the grid. If you own your EV and your battery, why would you want to do that just for a couple of cents? It's not worth it. So there are some certain advantages that NIO is having, and they should leverage that in the coming years. But as of now, it's a tiny business in terms of revenues, and obviously even in terms of profits, it's not even there yet. But the potential is there, right? Sometimes I hear people talking about, well, this is too far in distant future, but yeah, that's exactly what investors should be looking for. What are the revenue streams in the future?
Having this long-standing strategy of studying the ultra-fast charging as well as ultra-quick battery swapping. In terms of charging, actually, NIO is the most active brand in terms of deploying public chargers for the users in China. And as of now, 80% of our electricities were charged for the non-NIO users than for the NIO users. For the NIO Power's charging business by itself, it is already breaking even, and we will continue to deploy the chargers for the users. Very soon, we are going to install and launch our 640 kilowatt power chargers. So definitely, we will follow the latest technologies in the charging industry. In the meantime, we also need to emphasize on how fast the power swap can be, because no matter how quick you are on the charging rate, it can never outrun the power swap. Some media has used the analogy where power swap is as fast as 20C, as fast as charging at 20C, in comparison to 5C on a common charger. Not to mention that battery swap also have the best experience for the users. And in NIO's holistic solution, in addition to chargeable and swappable, we also have upgradable, which is also very important, especially to serve the interests of our users. Very soon, we are going to have our 150 kilowatt hour battery. We also have a 5C charging rate that will become available on our first model from the third generation products. ET9. But in addition to looking at the battery capacity and the charging rate, what really matters is the lifetime of the battery. For that, we think that it's very important because at the moment, the industry average warranty duration is around 8 years or 100,000 kilometers something, or when the battery hit 70% state of health. But if you look at the vehicle, it has a life cycle of around 15 years. For most of the electric vehicles running on the street, they haven't really hit the end of life of their batteries yet. But as the car companies, we really need to consider about the 15-year life cycle of your products, including cars, including batteries. That's why the calendar lifetime of the batteries becomes more important for the car companies. Over the past several years, we have tackled the difficulties on the battery safety, efficiency of charging, and also the accessibilities of the charging and the swapping facilities. And from this year, we will focus on the long life batteries. We have already done some research and studies on the technologies, and recently we are going to share more information with the industry. What we believe that with a longer battery life, especially longer calendar life, it will help not only the battery electric vehicles, but also PHEVs and the EREVs or the new energy vehicles in general. Because after 8 years, when the battery hits its end of warranty life, you cannot ask the user to pay another 100,000 RMB to upgrade the battery or to buy a new battery. Even for a smaller battery pack of only 40 kilowatt hour capacity, you cannot ask them to pay 80 or 90,000 RMB for a brand new battery. So as a car company, we need to look after both battery and cars across or throughout its life cycle. In that case, we need to provide the ultimate battery solution to the industry.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, Ming.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Paul Gong from UBS. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. My first question is regarding your R&D budget for 2024. How much do you plan to spend into R&D for this year? And if you can, would you please give a rough breakdown? How much of this would goes to the NIO models, and how much go to the Alps, how much to the third brand, and how much go to the autonomous driving software, and some key components, etc. Yeah. So regarding the R&D spending plan for 2024.
Sorry, I got to shake my head again because I believe this question has been answered before in a previous call in which they stated R&D costs will be roughly the same as last year, as 2023. Let's see if there's an update. I don't know how this insight is possibly generating much more clarity on the stock going forward. But maybe if the CFO is smart, he turns that into a opportunity to speak more about his way of going towards profitability. I doubt it because the question is not framed in this to support his outcome, him talking like that. But anyways, unfortunately, not the greatest answers so far or questions so far in this earnings call. While I think the answers are largely fine, to be honest. I especially enjoy them hearing more about the benefits, talking more about the benefits of battery swapping and the battery swapping business breaking even. I think they should stress this message even further because I think the shorts and the bears of NIO out there, they're really stressing the fact about this cash flow problem, about the cost and about the battery swapping cost implications. But as I said, I think it will turn a profit center soon.
As well as the technologies that can be shared across all three brands. We have mainly focused on the smart and the electric technologies, which can already be shared across NIO, Alps, and also Firefly, which is our third brand. And last year in September, we have announced our 12 full stack technologies at the NIO Tech Day. And basically, our R&D investments will be dedicated into these 12 main areas. And in terms of the personnel structure, around the 70% of our R&D people are focusing on the smart technologies or relevant areas.
Yeah, sure. My second question is regarding the cost of Alps. Just now, I think you mentioned that the cost is going to be about 10% lower than Tesla. Can we give a little bit more color, given this is actually a pretty impressive a number when you consider Tesla is building almost 1 million cars in China a year, of which like 700,000 is already like Model Y. On what volume scale are you based on to assume the Alps costs, and what are the key advantages you have adopted for this cost advantage compared to Tesla?
That's actually a decent question. Have to say, that's good. Let's see if they answer it. Well, I don't like too much. I have to say it, sorry, because I'm usually criticizing Tesla or Elon Musk for being too harsh and competitive and making this about EV wars when it comes to price war, when it comes to others may face bankruptcy and stuff like that. I think that, you know, Tesla usually says their ambitions, that their goal is to transfer or to what's their wording, to accelerate the advent of sustainable mobility or whatever. And I think every EV startup is needed for that, and it's actually needed that legacy automakers are start building more EVs. But what's currently happening is that actually the legacy automakers, they are walking it back for, I just mentioned it, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW, and so on, saying, oh, there's a lag with EV. Hint, it's possibly a lag for their EV, but not for others. And, you know, I think in general, it should be more about taking share from those who are not converting to EV. And now NIO also going in and saying, well, we are comparing us too much with Tesla and Model Y. Could be marketing.
Make a comparison. In terms of what advantages we can take for the Alps and its cost structure, actually China is the largest automotive market. It is also the biggest market for the smart electric vehicles, with already well-established supply chain. So we can already leverage the advantages of the domestic supply chains here in China. Not to mention that in the past several years, we have made investments and also achieved accumulations on the R&D activities. And R&D is one of the key drivers of improving the cost structure and reducing the BOM cost of the product. In that case, we already have a pretty good foundation. And with that, we doesn't need to really realize a very huge volume to realize that level of cost structure. In China, for the manufacturing facility, a reasonable volume will be around 10,000 units per month. We don't need to really go to the level of 1 million to realize that level of BOM cost.
So the cost is compared to Tesla China or Tesla Global for the 10%. Sorry, just a quick follow-up.
像我们并没有细致的 Tesla China 的，我们当然是说它整体的。
Okay, thank you very much. That's quite helpful.
Yeah, to translate for that, we didn't really look at the Tesla China specifically. We're comparing with Tesla globally.
Thank you very much. That's quite helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Chang Jing from CICC. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for taking my questions. I have two quick following questions. The first is also about the charging and also battery swap network. We can see that our network is still, our construction progress of the charging network is still the fastest in China. But at the same time, we see many other companies that still are also accelerating their construction of the especially the fast charging network. So how do we think that we can maintain our first mover advantage? And also how do we look at the relationship between fast charging and also battery swap?
Yeah, 从这个充电的角度来讲，这当然大家都去建设挺好的。
I think the takeaway here is like, if you listen to the questions of these analysts, you see that they're learning on the go, and that tells you a little bit also why they're usually lagging in their price targets with the actual price action. No offense, I'm not saying I could do a better job at this, but some of these questions are such general questions. It's almost embarrassing to ask them on an earnings call if you're actually covering the stock. You should be knowledgeable about EV and the development of the industry and the technology involved, right? How are these analysts actually going to get a full grasp of what is NIO's vision and technology roadmap if they ask basic questions around charging? That's what I'm wondering myself. Again, no offense, I don't want to sound like I know everything or so on, but seriously, that's their job, right? So it's just some context and additional insight on how to think about these reports that they're usually putting out and so on. So basically, you need to do your own due diligence. Sometimes ask retail investors know more than those analysts by Wall Street. And tough. It's really tough. On the other hand, we had some good questions also during this call, but just a few. In past calls, there have been some tougher questions on the management. I like when the management becomes more uncomfortable or needs to kind of spill out new information. that's not available. But too many of these questions have actually been answered on previous calls. So either they're rotating like their jobs, it's telling so much about those how banks work. Like people don't want to risk the money. If they don't understand it, they basically opinion follows trend. If the trend is up, if everybody is hyping up the stock, then they follow, then they're positive. But now in a downtrend, it's just creating more downtrend action and more negative sentiment and so on. Yeah, it's just speaking it from top of my head is my personal opinion here of just the way those questions are being asked. But I mean, it's nice for Li Bin. It's easy for him to reply to such responses, right? We could have much tougher questions. Why the heck are they raising money at 7 USD share price? Why didn't they anticipate it months before that the environment is worsening? If they're so smart from a management perspective. So show us the roadmap to profitability. Tell us the metrics on battery swapping break even. Give us those metrics in an earning call, black and white, so that we can use it in our Excel models. Now that's kind of the information you want to get out of an earnings call, but we're not getting it. Yeah, it's a shame, in my opinion.
Thank you for the questions. As we are very happy to see that many other car companies, including peers as well as other third-party companies, are also dedicating their resources into installing chargers in China. As the more chargers we have publicly, the better the charging experience and the charging efficiency will be. So we are also dedicating, or actually we are also installing a lot of chargers. But in addition to that, we also have many power swapping facilities. We are the car company with the most power swap stations. Some companies in the industry are also installing power swap stations, but so far we are still the single largest swap station operators. With that, we have already established a very good network effect where we can further leverage on that. So overall speaking, many other car companies who are serious about the battery swap or who are interested in battery swap now choose to join our battery swapping network and alliance because they can also rely on our network effect. But another thing is that the charging and the swapping, these two are never in conflict with each other. Of course, for the charging, there are some special benefits. For example, if you have chargers at home, you can always enjoy the best charging experience. Or if you're on the go and you only need to charge for 20 or 30% SOC, you can also choose faster charger. But if you need to have a full charge in a very short time frame, power swap is still the best option for you. Like during the Spring Festival, over 90% of our users traveling on highways choose to do the power swap than doing the charging. So that's the special benefit of power swap, not to mention that the battery swap station itself is a natural energy storage system. When users are doing power swap, they don't need to get off the car. The entire process is fully automated. Not to mention that we also have a battery upgrade that is enabled by the swappabilities of the battery. For example, 8% of them chose 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That is our long-range battery pack. But before we had this many power swap stations in China, 50% of our users actually chose 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. By having more users choosing standard range battery pack, the benefit is that if you're only driving the car in Shanghai for the daily commute, you can be having a sufficient range with 75 kilowatt-hour. But when you need to have a weekend getaway or when you need to travel for long distance during the holidays, like during the Spring Festival, you can use the flexible battery upgrade to upgrade to 100 kilowatt-hour battery. For example, during the Spring Festival, many of our users have chosen to upgrade their batteries flexibly. And very soon we will launch 150 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which will fulfill a very rare need, maybe only 1 to 2% of the use cases where users need to travel much longer. And another benefit of a power swap is regarding how it can benefit the management of the battery life, because I can use the analogy: if you eat too fast, it can damage your stomach than eating in a very slow manner. It's the similar thing to the power swap, because if you always use supercharging, such quick charge may damage the battery life of your battery. But with battery swap, we can balance out the battery life. Not to mention that we can also use other operating approaches and mechanism to further enhance the battery life. So overall speaking, we don't think battery swap and the charging are conflicting with each other, and these two actually come hand in hand.
Thank you, Tang Jing.
Okay, thank you. My second question is regarding to the lower tier cities market, and I see that in 2023, our sales proportion in first tier cities has been increased a little bit percent. Well, also our sales proportion in especially third tier and below cities is still less than 20%. So compared to like BMW, which that will be exceeding 40%. So in terms of marketing and other aspects, so do we have some methods to break through further to the lower tier cities?
Yeah, 这确实是我们在24年要着重解决的一个问题。事实上，我们从23年下半年开始，已经在这个在三四线城市去进行投入。我们目前如果去看的话，我们确实一线城市，特别是长三角占我们的销售比例还是非常高的。那么长三角就占我们50%以上的这个销售量。那如果把一线城市全部算下来的话，可能占我们80%左右。
Again, thanks for tuning in. If you are watching this live,
这个我们确实要
really
解决这个
appreciate it. This will be available as a recording, as always, in the aftermath. I do a quick Q&A if I still can. Please come and post your questions in the comment section. If you're a long-term subscriber, you can do that. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel and don't miss out on these videos. And you are able to comment as well in the future. I may have to cut it off later on once this earnings call is finished, because I have another appointment later on. I need to support Miriam in a project and a baby at the side. So sorry about that. But generally, I like to listen to the earnings calls, despite the fact that there are pretty basic questions this time, because it gives us a better sense of how the management is thinking, and ideally we get some good questions.
It's true that in 2024 we need to solve the problem regarding enlarging our reach in the lower tier cities and also boost the sales in those cities. We have realized the significance of this, and we have already started to take actions in the second half of 2023 by enlarging our reach into the lower tier cities. Right now, if you look at our sales volume distribution, basically more than 50% of our sales volume is contributed by the sales in the Yangtze River Delta areas. And if we look at all the tier 1 cities, more than 70% of the sales actually happen in the first tier cities. So it's very important for us to find the right approach to penetrate into the lower tier cities and enlarge our channel reach in these cities. On the other hand, we have also realized that the infrastructure, like the charging and the swapping facilities, are also playing a very important role in boosting the sales in these lower tier cities. So this year, we will also focus on installing more chargers and the swap stations in the third or fourth tier cities, so that we can enhance the overall user experience and competitiveness in those areas. This is an opportunity as well as a challenge for us in 2024. We need to find the efficient approach to tap into the lower tier cities and to improve the sales volume in those areas.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's all of my questions.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Tina Hou from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. So the first question is regarding
your sales network and sales team expansion plan this year. So just wondering, for both the NIO brand and for the Alps brand, how many new stores do you expect to open this year, and how many new sales people do you expect to hire for each of these brands?
This is potentially a good question because we could refer back to what Li Bin previously stated, that they need to build up the sales team.
Work and sales team expansion. So could you share for 2024, how many stores do you plan to open for both NIO and the Alps brand? And also, how many salespeople do you expect to hire for these brands?
Yeah，从 NIO 的角度来讲的话呢，我们还会在因为我们现在已经有这个500加起来有500个店了，所以事实上来讲，我们现在更多的是在提高这个店效，所以包括去取代一些低效的店，所以在这方面的话呢，这个店的扩展不是我们的首要任务。我们的人员的话呢，现在我们也
Because I'm saying this because it's interesting. I think some people rightly so observed that recently the sales and deliveries of NIO has been maybe a little bit behind expectations. And then Li Bin mentioned how it takes some time for the sales team to make an impact. And now we get this quite, in my opinion, quite bullish Q1 guidance here based on how the first months of this year have been panned out with Chinese New Year. And so, yeah, I would like to get an update on where they think the sales team is and where we can see incremental growth coming from. They made an interesting point about that they think there will be an inflection point also in the premium luxury segment for BEV, in which they stated before that this is a slower converting sector or segment in comparison to the mass market. So all of these brands that you hear, like XPeng, Tesla, and so on, they are more active about BYD in the mass market, which is more adaptable currently to BEVs. But the premium to luxury segment is more conservative. It's more dominated by the legacy brands, and it's a little bit slower to convert. So I want to know why Li Bin thinks the way he thinks, that there might be an inflection point for growth coming in that, and what contribution could be to sales incentives and the staff education. But let's see. The question was similar, but not maybe exactly in this direction.
NIO as the brand, actually, we have already opened 500 new houses and new space in China. So for this year, our priority is not on opening up more stores or spaces for the NIO brand. Instead, we will focus on improving the efficiency of each point of sale, including phasing out some low efficiency locations and replace them with stores and the locations of higher efficiencies. And in terms of the sales force for the NIO brand, so far we have already have more than 5,000 people on the team. And enlarging the team will not be the focus either. Instead, we will focus on the efficiency of the overall operations of the team. So enlarging sales team or increasing the number of sales stores for NIO will not be the priority for the current year. But when it comes to our new brand, the second brand, the approach will be different. We have already secured some locations and resources for the new brand. So we will not have a very long lead time to prepare for the store opening. Basically, when we launch the brand, we also hope that we can open no less than 200 points of sales for the second brand. In terms of people, it's the same logic, as we can leverage the existing training system of NIO to train the team, to make the entire sales team to be prepared for the launch of the very first model. So we will focus on the efficiency of such a sales team. Not to mention that for Alps, they will start with only one product, so the efficiency of the sales should be relatively easy to manage and improve. This is also another advantage of starting a brand based on existing resources and the network of NIO than starting everything from ground up.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you very much, William. Can I just have a follow-up? So would the Alps store location resemble that of NIO's location?
这个还是 Alps 会根据他自己的目标用户群去布局这个销售网络。 和 NIO 这个它不会 follow 同样的一个地址，它会是独立的选址的原则，因为它的目标用户群包括它的价位还是会不太一样的。
As Alps, our second brand, is targeting at different types of user groups with different price segments and the range, which means that this brand will also have its own principle and logic for the store locations and network development. So for Alps, they will select their own stores and locations and also deploy the network according to their own demand.
当然，它的这个效率也肯定会更高一些，因为相对来说，它不会像 NIO 这样需要去建立 NIO Houses 这样 NIO House 这样的这个销售网络，它更像类似于它。
Those who are wishing for no NIO houses now get it with the Alps brand.
Of course, the sales network of the Alps will also be more efficient as Alps does not need to have the full-fledged sales stores like NIO House. So its point of sales will be more efficiency oriented, similar to the sales stores of Tesla.
Thank you. And my second question is, could you give us some CapEx guidance for 2024, and then in the breakdown between vehicle CapEx and also your charging swapping infrastructure CapEx?
Hi, Tina. Yes, sure. We will control our CapEx investment in 2024. We already canceled a delayed project with a payback period longer than 2 to 3 years. And generally, the CapEx in this year will be significantly lower than 2023. Regarding the deployment of our power swap station network, we will fully leverage the resources of our business partner for the further expansion, as I mentioned, William, in previous statement. Yeah. That means we
Great, thank you
will
so much.
Utilize our own resource to build the network. Yeah. Thank you.
So will not utilize your own resource?
Well, yeah, for the power swap network, station network, we minimize to use.
That's the bombshell in this call. Guidance on lower CapEx and the multi-brand battery swap stations won't be expense for NIO. So the partner's taking that over, and that's the benefits now materializing for the partnerships, where we usually didn't get a guidance on what the partnerships exactly involve as a monetary aspect. So that's really great. Unfortunately, towards the end of the call and now concluding, and like I said before, unfortunately, I have to wrap this up quickly. I can't do much more from Q&A, taking 1.5 hours already, and I have to follow on to another appointment right now, another meeting, and I need to jump off. But I'll surely do follow-up videos, and I really appreciated you guys all tuning in and listening to the call directly. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Luckily, we got this gold nugget now at the end of the call. I think that should be well received among investors and analysts. This is a huge new insight that we didn't get before, and it's a huge positive on top of the higher revenue guidance in Q1, in my opinion. So there have been some positive takeaways from the call and from the earnings report, despite also some negatives. The margins haven't been as good as my personal expectations, and still rather high cost on the operational side, and not yet the decrease in net losses that I'd like to see. But given some of these insights here now from this report and the call, I think it's rather plausible, and the probabilities are high that in the coming quarters we will see that these efficiencies on the bottom line, and that should be exciting for investors. Anyways, that's just my opinion. Please feel free to comment your views in the comment section below. I appreciate that a lot. And then see you in my next videos. Thanks for tuning in, and fingers crossed that things are getting better sooner than later. Thanks.